Okay.
Ready? Yes. Okay. All right. So it's 3:31 p.m. and I'm calling this meeting of the Youth Council Communications Outreach Subcommittee to order. We don't have anyone from the public here, so then we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a discussion about applications with Anne. Hi, thank you for coming.
Sure. No, absolutely. So what this is, and I should know this, is this an ad hoc committee or is this, it's a full committee? Catherine, do you know? And the only reason I ask is an ad hoc committee still has, like, the Human Rights Commission is ad hoc. It gives you more flexibility. But what do you want for, what are your goals for getting membership? People on the committee? Is there a certain number that you want to see added, or?
I know, Jack, you had mentioned that, so I'll let you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
so sorry. I think right now, I think we're kind of stuck in the place where we have non-voting members, which some people don't really. I don't really like that. I feel like everyone should be voting members, but I know the town council put a limit on the amount of voting members. I don't know if that means we need to amend some part of our charter, or whatever it's called, or
Yeah, we can definitely address that. As we created you, we can tweak it, so that shouldn't be an issue. So how many non-voting members do you have?
Let me look at my sheet. I think we have one non-voting high school member. I think we have 3 or 4 non-voting middle school members, but I will get you an official number.
Okay,
and
I can get that from Sherry. I'm sorry. I should have got that earlier. I started teaching this week, so it's a little hectic in person, which is awesome.
Ooh, definitely, yeah.
We have 4 non-voting total.
Okay, so 1 non-voting high school, 3 non-voting middle school. Okay. Yeah. And then Alyssa, how many, is it you 6 that are voting or more?
There are way more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think there are 3. I think there are 3 voting middle schoolers. Okay, so there are 3 voting middle schoolers. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 voting high schoolers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you have 12 voting members and then 4 non-voting.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be tricky because too many voting members can be a little unwieldy.
Mm-hmm.
But there's ways to, because we can create it however you want to and how we think it's best to do it. You can also, folks can rotate in. I mean, you know, people, you could have voting and then the next semester, you know, there could just be a progression if someone, one of the non-voting wanted to move in, but we can also talk about raising the number. So I want to bring it back to the council, and I'll do some feelers, whether or not they think we should have a cap. Now, maybe we don't. I mean, I think the more people we get engaged and the more people, and if especially we get them engaged as voters and they feel like they have that voice, you know, yes, it can be unwieldy, but then you have a strong president or who can take care of it, you know, who can handle the conversation. So is it your feeling that if possible, in the perfect world, you would like to open it up to a certain number?
Yeah, I think in a perfect world, maybe do like 20 voting members in total. Maybe just like having 15, just so we can incorporate as many people as possible.
Yep.
Because especially middle schoolers, I kind of feel bad that there's so many high schoolers like over on top of them. There's like,
Sure.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if we have to increase each one in like a separate way. I also because I feel like some middle school members feel kind of left out just because they're not voting, kind of
Okay.
out of the process. And I'm sure that we're inclusive to both middle schoolers and high schoolers.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I also think middle schoolers probably aren't going to have the strength isn't the right word, but if they're non-voting, they're going to be a little uncomfortable speaking up, especially amongst high schoolers. So to give them a voice, I think certainly makes sense. So we can, I mean, I can, as I said, I like to get a feel from the council what's going to happen without violating open meeting law. So talking to them individually, as opposed to just bringing it up at the next meeting and having them not quite know what this situation is. So I think if I get to them each individually and say, these are what the folks on the youth council want, this is what they'd like to increase. I can't imagine we would ever want to tamp down participation, especially among our young people. So I'm totally in support of it. If this is what you guys want to do, I can advocate very strongly for it.
Totally. I don't know if Catherine is here right now, but I know she said she had some inquiries of people who wanted to apply. So I don't know if she knew like an exact number.
Okay.
Sorry, I dropped my kids off at their hair appointment. After dealing with vaccination clinics all day, so I'm a little hairy, but
I can't even imagine.
It's crazy. But yeah. I just think, yeah, we always have youth that are interested, so it's just coming up with that process of that it's fair. So it's not just necessarily that order of when people applied. I mean, I get it. That's how we had to do it the first time, which makes sense. But figuring out, we definitely have youth that are interested, though.
Okay. I think that's awesome, Catherine. That's great information. And then, so if we're going to increase it, is this something that you want to meet with the students that are applying? Yeah,
that's what I was going to bring up next. So yeah, I think kind of like talking to kids and talking to young people who want to join to see what their feelings are and how and the kind of their experience and what they want to bring up to the council and stuff.
Okay.
And also the applications this year, we applied directly to town council. So we didn't know if we would do that again or if we could apply to us and then tell you guys who we think should be the best. I don't know.
So yep, absolutely. Great question. The applications would come to us. They would go to Sherry Dalton, who is the clerk of the town council. She would then send it to you. So that's just what we do with all committees. It's cleaner that way. So we get the applications, she sends them to you. We would still have the opportunity to look at the applications, but I can't imagine we would not defer to you unless, and this wouldn't happen with this group, but for example, if we saw some issue of inequity of students being chosen, or obviously, having a diverse youth council is a wonderful thing, race, gender, sexual identity, all of that. So I'm sure there's council members who would be interested in seeing that, but my feeling is this is, you guys are running with it. So you do the interviews with that in mind. And before you interview, we can certainly chat again, just, trying to pick people that does show that the diversity in Wakefield as it is. But we almost always would defer to the committee's choice of who to place on.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. And I also feel like, while we're thinking about it and throughout the process of people applying, and if we do like interviews or just talking to them, I think it's really important that we just keep in mind the values that kind of like the youth council upholds with, diversity and, making sure it's all an equal process.
Yep.
So, with the numbers and everything, I'm not sure if, I think there are pros and cons to putting a cap on it and also not, because we want to make sure that everyone's included, because that's really what, we stand for. But at the same time, if it gets too big, it might be hard to represent. So I think that, no matter what we decide, I think we should just kind of keep those values in mind.
Yeah, and we have other committees as well, important committees in town where we have non-voting members, and oftentimes those non-voting members are just as active as the voting members. And then when a voting member drops off, or for whatever reason, you'll have graduations, you'll have students who might just be too busy. sometimes those non-voting members, it's very easy to place them on the board because they've shown such good effort and thoughtfulness in meetings. So if it,
Mhm.
you know, that's a great problem to have, that we would have too many people, that we would have to have a little chunk of non-voting members.
Yeah, we already had one non-voting member brought up to a voting member because we lost someone.
Oh,
And
good,
so-
great,
Yeah.
great.
So, yeah, we kind of like set up a process on how we're doing that too. So
Awesome.
I think we are losing a non-voting member in February, so
Okay.
that's not really going to affect anything. But I kind of like try to set up a process so we can use it in the future to make sure that we have an orderly way to do it.
That's great. And we can certainly help with that. So trying to think,
So-
oh, go ahead, Catherine.
I was just wondering, do you have any suggestions for them to maybe to encourage people to learn about the youth council before they join, like attending meetings? What have you done? Have you seen done?
Absolutely. So it always is a good sign when someone who is interested in joining a board shows up to those meetings and sees what happens at the meetings and sees the topics of conversation and what you're doing. Again, it just shows interest, and it makes that applicant, I think, a more attractive applicant to place on the board. We see that with zoning board, Board of Appeals, you know, someone who, so I think to encourage students just to find out about you is a great thing. And, you know, we can even, it's been a little while, in COVID has taken all our thoughts, but, you know, if someone wanted to come to our next meeting, just to up, oh, you know what, we're doing budgets. Let me check to see, the budget meetings tend to be crazy and long. Let me just see when one of you or a couple of you can come, just to again say this is what we're doing, and that could put the information out there for other students to apply. See when youth council can come. Okay. So, but Catherine, that's a great point. I think it gives students a chance to see what they're getting into.
Yeah, I think that's key because these youth put a lot of work into it and all the subcommittee meetings and stuff. So we just want to make sure they get a sense for all that it entails.
Yeah.
It's not just something to put on your resume.
Right.
They're putting in a lot of work. So
Absolutely. What if we can't get you on the next meeting, what can I bring back to the council about, like, what have you been doing? What would you like to do more? What can we do for you? And then we'll get you at a meeting and you know, shortly.
Totally. I think Alyssa can speak more on this, but we've been working a lot on mental health, especially for like on our social medias and talking to kids. It just during with Corona and when schools went fully online for a little bit, just kind of working with kids. And we also been working on the logo issue, talking with the school committee. Went to a school committee meeting. They had that meeting last night that we watched and stuff. So
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah. So they're planning on voting in late March about that. So we just kind of doing different parts in town. We're also working on we're working with safe routes to school to promote safer roads to for younger kids, especially near the middle school.
Great.
Having young people in the mix with them to discuss with them how we feel about the roads and stuff. So
Okay.
overall, just issues that young people are actually caring about and affect us, which is I think really cool. I think a lot of people actually care, which is awesome.
That's great. And so how do you, because I know I can picture some of my council members asking, on the logo issue, for example, how do you reach out to, because I'm sure there's some who are positive and some who are like, oh, you know, maybe there's a compromise, or some who are against it. How do you get all those opinions?
Let's don't go on this.
Yeah, I can. So originally we had like some polls on our Instagram and spots where people could just tell us how they felt.
Yep.
And then we reached out to some people from original polls, like asking like what their opinions were and things like that. And then once we started to get into it more, like the education part in our council meetings, we started providing resources on this is a question that comes up a lot. This is one side, this is the other. We show both sides of every question to the best of our ability. We provided history on the logo, and then we put out more polls, like to see if education changed people's minds. And Lauren put together a really great survey at one point surveying people, like what
Yeah.
school they're from, what school they go to, how they feel about the logo, the name Warrior, and how they feel about changing it.
Great.
So we definitely put in a lot of work trying to make sure we got all the opinions and things like
Yeah.
that.
I think we're
That's-
also working with the history curriculum coordinator to add in more a native history to the curriculum and
That's
discussing
great.
that too.
That's awesome. And I think the council will be happy to hear. It just makes sense to get both sides, even if you're strongly wedded to one side. That's only as strong as you being able to articulate with transparency what the other side is and to understand. So that's awesome. They're gonna love that.
And have you seen the PowerPoint they put together for school committee that showed both perspectives?
Oh, I didn't, no.
If one of you wants to share that with Anne and she can share that with the council, it really shows like kind of the background, both sides and why, you know, of the history of coming to the decision and it does show both sides of it. And
Good.
they just did a fabulous job with that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, if someone wants to email it to me, that would be great.
Yeah, I can email it to you.
Perfect. That's great because you know, I've even from adults who aren't as dialed into Wakefield, some of them only have one side and had no idea, and again, whether you agree or not, that there was a historical connection for residents in town. So for you guys to present that is really great.
Can I just add something really quick?
Yeah, sure, Lauren.
Don't want to lose my train of thought. One thing that might be worth mentioning to the council is that so Anthony and Ali and maybe Jack, I'm not sure, but some of us, I know Anthony and Ali did it. We did a press release just about it was almost like a statement kind of from the youth council providing our official recommendation to the school committee of changing the logo.
Great.
And it kind of outlined our process, and you know, we did the survey, the polls, self-education, educated others, and it really it did a really good job kind of embodying our process. So the thing that might be worth mentioning is that we did get some pushback from our peers, which we were expecting.
Sure.
And it was on one of the Instagram posts. And I think that we did a really, really good job of letting people's opinions be heard and answering. I know we answered a question on that. And then pretty recently, we also received some feedback in the Wakefield item.
Welcome to my world, people.
Yeah.
Feedback is really nice word.
We were true members of the Wakefield community when we started. And we were expecting that, and of course, like all opinions are valid, and you know.
No, actually, no, they're not, but that's okay.
I think we responded really well to that situation.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think that, you know, that might be important to mention that we have had some challenges that were anticipated, but I think we handled it pretty maturely and, you know, with grace. So yeah.
I have absolutely no doubt you did.
I sort of just to add that many of some of the misunderstandings were derived from the fact that I think people thought like we were like we had complete jurisdiction over the logo, and we're like immediately gonna change it, and like
Sure.
sort of had to clarify like what we voted on was to propose to the school committee to investigate that. So there was also some clarification necessary with that.
Yeah. Stay off of Facebook. That would be my recommendation.
Ah,
I've been off since March. Love it.
that's a great idea.
Yeah, I have.
The other thing I wanted to mention, Anne, too, is that what's been so great about the youth council structure, and I think I can't remember if this is Ed's idea or whose idea it was. Each one of the members is a liaison to a town department or board committee. So we have, like, Anthony works closely with Jennifer, our communications director.
That's great.
Kind of guide and you know, we have all these Nick and who else is
I think
involved
it's Summer
Megan.
or Megan.
It's
Megan.
Megan. Yeah.
Nick and Megan are connected to the police department. They're constantly meeting with the police, the public safety.
That's
Um,
great.
so it's these connections have been fabulous because we're able to make the bridge the gap and have that youth voice as part of those different departments. Ollie goes to all the conservation commission meetings. I mean, it's just it's been great.
That's awesome. Is anyone on the planning board?
William is.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
just gonna say, I think William.
Because
is.
I think that's going to get very interesting with the development in Lake Quannapowitt.
Yeah, William actually put a presentation together for the youth on where things stood with the Lake Quinnipiac. So that's another thing at each meeting. A lot of times the youth will take turns presenting what's going on with their various boards.
That's awesome. So I would really love to have not just one of you, a good chunk of you, say some things at the at one of our meetings. I just need to see what our next meeting looks like. Talk to Steve Mayo to see where time-wise where we can fit you in for some sort of presentation, because I know the council's going to be blown away by it, and I'm certainly, hopefully those that are watching. So
I
that's
just sent
awesome.
over to you the press release and the presentation.
Perfect. Oh, thank you, Jack. Okay, I'm sure I get that. Right. Is anything else? So I have work to do. I'm going to reach out to my council to talk about expanding the numbers and see how they feel about that. Talk about the process of the interviewing that you guys have proposed, which absolutely makes sense, which is in line with a lot of how other committees do. And then all the exciting work you're doing, and have you before the committee, in the not too distant future. So can you think of anything else?
One question that I have, and I'm not sure, I'm not sure if you know the answer to this. Would it be possible next year for us to get like the town of Wakefield emails? Just because with personal emails, it's a little odd, and sometimes it's kind of hard to sort through and differentiate youth council from reaching out to people with our other emails. I'm not sure if there's a rule that we have to be 18 or something. But I was just wondering what your thoughts were.
That's
Lauren,
a great
I can
idea.
look into that. I can look into that.
That's an absolutely great idea. And that's one of the reasons why we have the town council emails, just because we all have our professional or personal, to keep it separate. So that's great. Catherine can look into it. And I can also, I can help. Excellent question. All right, anything else? No? All right, you guys are awesome. You make us very proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this.
And I will report back to what I find out, and we'll go from there.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
absolutely.
you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you. And we'll see you guys on Friday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a nice day.
Do we have to during the meeting?
I think so.
Okay. I was like,
Okay.
I
I was like, everybody's
left,
leaving.
and I was like, ooh.
All right, figure yeah.
Do I have a
Okay.
motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion.
I second the motion.
All right. I vote yes. Lauren,
Yes.
Anthony.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.
All right,
Have a nice
see
day.
you tomorrow and Friday and probably Saturday too. Who knows?
Yeah.
Bye.